Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I am joined by Danny Kelly, and of course, Craig Horlbeck.
Jones.
Craig Jones. We're going over all the games entering Week 9, and we're going to go through. And yeah, if you didn't listen to that was really funny. That was from the Sunday show. We'll get to Wade Jones later. Only one place to start, boys. Game of the year is this year. It's a big deal.
Yep. Yeah.
The Detroit Lions are at the Green Bay Packers. The Lions are giving 3 points. DK.
Yo.
I think this is the game of the year. This feels like an NFC Championship game preview. It's the biggest game of the entire season.
Right. This game could obviously have implications for playoff seeding. Right now, the Lions are 6-1. The Packers are 6-2. They're vying for supremacy in the conference and in the division. We don't know yet. I think the big question is like who's going to be starting at quarterback for the Packers right now. Jordan Love went out with a groin injury last week. He was limited today. This is Thursday afternoon. So he may be trending in the right direction, but
well, does it matter? Because if Malik Willis, as of
undefeated,
where would the line move if it was Malik Willis versus Jordan Love?
Well, it should go up because you're recording this before Thursday Night Football, but right now Malik Willis has more wins this season than Aaron Rodgers.
The line actually has gone up. This actually originally opened as Packers getting 3.5. Now it's down to Packers only getting 2.5.
The stat that I think of when I think of this game, though, that I can't stop thinking about is the Lions in their last 5 games have 24 touchdowns and 19 incompletions, which I feel like I've heard about for a game. I've never heard about that for a month. And the only thing worse than that was the freaking stat that Craig texted me last night that made me like weep. What was that freaking stat?
I believe it was in the month of October, the Lions have scored 130 points and the Giants have scored 10.
Not like October, since like October 12th. But yeah, it's 130 to 10 since then. That's not good.
Not good.
You're right. It's since October 13th. So honestly, I feel like you're in a good spot. This is kind of a bounce back week.
How are you feeling about this Packers defense, though?
I think it's better than it gets credit for.
100%. They're 6th in EPA, defensive EPA their last 4 games, the Packers defense. I also think that there's something to be noted here that this is Jared Goff's first game outdoors this season.
Ooh, that's a good call.
This is, they played their first 8 inside. And for those who don't know, Goff is terrible. Terrible in the elements. A little snow, a little rain, a little wind, which it's supposed to rain, be kind of cold in Green Bay on Sunday. And Goff, his TD to interception ratio is twice as bad outside. He's got those little hands. He's not built for it. He's from California.
And also, don't forget, DK and I have a theory that Jared Goff can't poop away from home.
Sure.
Listen, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It happens. I don't know why, but I feel like it would be worse in Green Bay. I don't have any like data to support that, but it just feels like the type of food and drink that you're eating in Green Bay is going to make it harder to poop. The one thing I think is very interesting about this Packers defense, they're doing pretty well this year, but they're basically just living on takeaways. They have 19 takeaways this year, which is most in the NFL. Is that sustainable? Probably not. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're like finding ways to take the ball away from opponents. And this could be, if they get a turnover or 2 against Jared Goff, that could be like the real key to this game. They have a middle of the pack pressure rate. They're 8th in sacks. They're not really blitzing. They just kind of like they're like doing the Seahawks thing or the Ravens thing where they kind of like drop guys back and rush from other angles and
hot
kind of
dogs
just try
and buns.
Right, exactly. They try and confuse the opposing quarterback. So I think that's going to be kind of like a chess match that I'm excited to see is like, how does Jared Goff in the outdoors respond to this defense that is getting home without blitzing and creating a ton of turnovers?
It's a high variance game. It feels like there's a lot of factors that could determine like which way this game swings. And it really feels like I could see any scenario. I could see this being a close game and I could see almost either team winning big. Goff being outside. Goff also has an ankle injury. Obviously Jordan Love has this groin injury that he's been hobbled all week with. And he missed the second half of the game. So I do feel like this can kind of go a lot of ways. I think I do lean with the Packers a little bit here at home with Goff outside. I think the Packers are underrated, and I still think they are one of the more slept-on teams of the year. They're 6-2, and they're not talked about at all. Not that their schedule's been incredibly difficult, but I think this team is good on both sides of the ball.
I totally agree, Craig. And for some reason, there's still no face of the Packers. I still feel like Jordan Love, weirdly, isn't really famous at all by the standard of being the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. if you just think about, the last 30 years between Rodgers and Favre, like Love is so not famous, but like Josh Jacobs isn't like the face of the team. Jaden Reed, like all these guys are so young on offense, and all the guys on defense, there's no individual contributor that's like famous. Xavier McKinney, the former Giant, has been outrageously good for the Packers. I think he's one of the league leaders, one of the best league leaders in the entire league in interceptions right now, to your point, DK, about turnovers. Yeah, I think that this is the coming out part. If the Packers win this game, then everyone's going to be like, oh, Packers are Super Bowl contenders. But they will have to win. But I still love the Lions, man.
I know. My gut in this one, Heifetz, too, is just the Lions are a freaking buzzsaw right now, and it's just going to be hard to slow them down. So this is going to be a super fun game.
The over-under on this is 48.5. The Lions had 49 points like last week or more than that. Like, when was the last time a team had more points in a game?
They had like
themselves?
They had like 52 or something.
Yeah, they had 52. They beat the over-under in this game that last week, so that's funny. So, yeah, game of the year right there. I also want to follow up with the worst game of the year, which is also potentially this week, which is the Saints are at the Panthers. And
Scintillating.
It's probably a little better because it seems like Derek Carr might actually play. Dennis Allen, the coach for the Saints, said he's expecting Derek Carr to play, which really ruins the game I wanted to play of keep sign cut between Bryce Young, Jake Haener, and Spencer Rattler. Really got thrown out by my Derek Carr returning. And Derek Carr said when he returns, he's going to be a psycho, which is like, that's literally a quote.
Is that what he said?
He said, when I get back, I'm going to be a psychopath. That's a quote from
What's
Derek
that
Carr.
mean?
I mean, last time these two teams played, it was week 1. I believe they won 47-10. Derek Carr coming out party a little bit here. Maybe this game will be watchable if the Saints can bounce back and find a little bit of what they had to start the year. I got to say, I want to point out Chris Olave. I think he is the new Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin has graduated out of being the Terry McLaurin because of Jaden Daniels now, and he's finally later in his career found a home. And I think Chris Olave, I was trying to think of any other receiver that qualified, and I really feel like it is Chris Olave as the new I have the worst fucking attorneys, because there always needs to be one talented guy, kind of an under-the-radar personality on an under-the-radar team, but he's good every year. He's very talented. He's going to get you 1,000 yards and like 4 touchdowns because his team sucks every year. So I think Chris Olave is the new McLaurin.
His style is also like a little more dependent on good quarterback play than some, because he's like more high leverage plays down the field, big plays, explosive plays. And if you have a quarterback who just can't get it to him, he just kind of disappears. I think the same was similar for McLaurin last year. It's just like these prayers down the field that have no chance of it being completed. That just kind of like makes me. It has the same style with Olave, I think.
Let's be real though. The most important part of this Panthers Saints game is Panthers receiver Xavier Legette talking about what he eats. First of all, he eats like Kai. He just eats like Kai. He's like, I don't eat vegetables. Like, he eats like pizza, no seafood. Even Kai eats shrimp. But anyway, he was like, I just started eating vegetables. And I just saw a tweet that was like, you'll never in 1,000 years guess how he says the word asparagus. And I just want, Carlos, can you just play him saying asparagus, Xavier Legette?
Like, I just started eating asparagus.
Dude, I actually watched the video like 3 times and I missed it when he said it because I didn't recognize that's what he was saying. You know what I mean? Like, I had to go back and I'm like, when did he say asparagus? That's great. He's got a really, really deep accent.
I think it's the craziest accent of any NFL player I can remember.
Yeah, it's. I have a bunch of friends who went to UNC Chapel Hill, and that's how they would make fun of people in North Carolina. Like, that's like the caricature. It is the most Carolina accent I've ever heard.
And
it's like a cartoon.
It's charming.
And it's so deep. It is charming. I agree. I want to get to know him even more.
Yeah, I know. Wait, so I'm sorry. Carlos, can you play it one more time?
Like, I just started eating asparagus.
Whoa! Come on now. It's like he like burps mid-word or something.
Oh my God. All right. Next game here. We got the Cowboys are at the Falcons this week. I mean, dude, this is yikes. I think Solak actually had a good column to ESPN this week where he basically laid out that like the Kirk Cousins have been wrecking bad defenses. Kirk Cousins, because he's not that mobile. It's like Rodgers. He's not that mobile with the Achilles injury. He's pretty bad against good defenses. The Cowboys have a terrible defense. And so I don't know.
Cowboys are terrible at everything.
Well, I was going to, can we play a quick game? And it's called List Things That the Dallas Cowboys Do Well.
Okay.
The kick.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Aubrey's a good kicker.
Right.
They're good at branding.
Yeah, they have a very recognizable logo.
Like, I don't think they do. They can't stop the run. They can't run the ball. I think they're the only team in the NFL that doesn't have a 20-yard run this year. They can't defend the pass. And even their best thing should be getting the ball to CeeDee Lamb, which they can't really do in the first half anyway.
Yeah, they're honestly a little bit of like a glorified Blake Bortles Jags team right now, where they're down 14 or 21 in the fourth quarter, and that's where Dak and CD do all their damage. I mean, it's like kind of a drag with CD for the first 3 quarters, and then he racks up all his stats in garbage time.
Yeah, like when defenses start just dropping back and playing prevent defense. Yes. The Cowboys offense, I was actually shocked. I'd never really thought that they were good, but when I looked up some of their stats in DVOA this week, I was shocked. They're 26th in offensive DVOA with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. 24th in passing DVOA, 30th in rush DVOA. They have 3 rushing touchdowns all season. And they're 29th in turnovers. They have 13 turnovers this year. So, yeah, like what do they do well? Like if you would have just asked me, I'm like, well, they're pretty good at offense, but
make money.
They're not at all good at offense right now. And the Falcons are.
I think they're good. Yeah, they're good at branding and PR because the honestly, the most entertaining thing about Dallas right now was that Trevon Diggs, the cornerback, he went into his locker and he came out and he saw some tweet that this guy who covers the Cowboys had basically said that, what are you doing on this play where George Kittle ran and scored? He almost scored a touchdown and was like, what exactly is Trevon Diggs doing this play? Trevon Diggs, the quarterback, comes out. He's Stephon Diggs' brother. And he comes out and he's like, don't criticize me. You can't do anything I can do. You can't play football. Like, get out of here. And then he was like, do you want to comment? And he basically, literally, he's like, you can comment on these nuts. And he like goes back in the locker room.
Wow.
And then they unlike Stephon Diggs, who said, I'll never, ever be the bigger person. Stephon Diggs actually went and apologized to the reporter. The reporter apologized to him because apparently Diggs was trying to prevent a cutback. But then also he literally got him cans of a company that actually makes something called D's Nuts. And it's like a can of nuts. And he got him as an apology, a can of D's Nuts.
Did you see that he got him? He offered him 2 different flavors of D's Nuts, which I didn't know that was a brand. I didn't know they actually made nuts.
What are the flavors? Like
the 2 flavors,
salty and extra salty?
The 2 flavors that he offered this reporter were ranch, which I'm like, all right, that's a relatively normal. And banana pudding.
Oh,
what do you mean banana pudding?
They're doing like the Pop-Tart Oreo thing.
They are banana pudding flavored nuts. And he offered it to the reporter as though they were like 2 normal flavors. Like he said barbecue and ranch. He's like, you want ranch or banana pudding? And the reporter's like, I'm not a banana guy, so I'll do the ranch. Right. And Diggs was like, no problem. I'll take the banana pudding. And I was like, why are we all just acting like banana pudding is a normal nut flavor? What the fuck are we talking about? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Is banana pudding supposed to be some sort of like double entendre or pun or something? Or is it just, it's literally
like D's Nuts makes a banana pudding?
Like D's Nuts are underneath the banana? Something like that.
You're kind of steps ahead of me.
I'm reaching on that. I don't know.
If anyone knows anyone who works at D's Nuts, please email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com.
And they call it
questions.
They call it nanner pudding.
Okay.
Should we have Kai try D's Nuts?
The classic flavor. We
should not.
No, we're gonna have Kai try the cayenne.
We actually should.
Pepper.
Poor Kai.
We're gonna do cayenne pepper, where Aaron Rodgers says the cayenne water brought him the fountain of youth. We're gonna have Kai do the cayenne pepper.
The cayenne challenge.
Pepper.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess like a banana split maybe is like nuts and a banana. I'm fascinated by
banana pudding.
I feel like that went out in like the 70s.
Pudding.
I haven't seen a banana split in the wild in decades.
I know. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's true actually.
No
one buys banana splits anymore.
Yeah, who goes and orders that? Where do you even do that?
I think people realize, like, why would I get a fucking banana with my ice cream? I'll just get the ice cream.
You're like, what?
Somewhere along the line, people realize this makes no sense. Yeah.
I don't know.
Now the bananas seem kind of fucked up.
Yeah. We should also point out that the Falcons are kind of cooking right now. It's kind of working for the Falcons. Their defense is atrocious, but this team's 5-3. They're probably going to win the division since Mike Evans and Godwin got hurt for the Bucs. The Saints are kind of in disarray, and then there's the Panthers. I don't know. The Falcons are 4th in the league in scoring in the last 4 games. Kirk's playing well.
They're 6th in DVOA, and that includes that really crappy first game.
I don't think this would happen because they're in the NFC South together, but the Falcons could really just trade for Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney's just languishing away on this like weird Panthers team that's going nowhere. And it's like the Falcons once again have like the worst pass rush of any good team in the NFL. And I'm like, damn, if they weren't
and they even traded for Judon. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he sucked though. That hasn't worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, Falcons once again need a pass rusher. But I totally agree. Next game here, Broncos are at the Ravens. The Ravens are giving 9.5 points. Craig, pretty disrespectful. Are you still good? Are you going to be a big Sean Payton fan? Are you doing it?
I'm debating it. This is the time to get in now because if they win, everyone's going to be in on it next week.
Yes,
so I should probably try to do it right now.
You should do it now because I'm gonna, and you could be contrarian against me. I'm staking my claim.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Broncos are frauds, but that the Broncos are. I always get confused when Bill says the bad good team and the good bad team. I have to think about it of which was which. But the Broncos are like the bad good team in that a lot of the Broncos wins are fraudulent. The defense is awesome. The Broncos have a top 5 defense. Like, there's no question about that. But you look at the teams the Broncos have beat. They beat the Panthers last week. Cool. Like 20-4, like the worst team in the league. They beat the Saints on Thursday Night Football when they were missing 9 starters on offense on a Thursday. So 9 backups couldn't even fucking practice because it's a Thursday. They lost to the Chargers. They beat the Raiders. Who cares? Like the Raiders, that was the first game the Raiders played without Devontae Adams. They beat the Jets, which looks less impressive every week, 10-9. In the pouring rain in a game where the Jets missed the game-winning field goal as time expired. Like, their best win was they beat the Bucs, and the defense was legit. They shut down the Bucs. But even that game, offensively, like, the Bucs were missing their 2 best defenders. And I'm like, I don't know. I think that Bucs win 6 weeks ago is their only real win of the whole season.
Are there a lot of people that are, like, taking this Broncos seriously, though?
I think the defense
Other
is very
than Broncos
real.
fans?
I think Broncos fans, yeah. I think that Bo Nix is, he's been exciting in fantasy. I think the Broncos fans are excited. They have Ravens, Chiefs, but then it's like Falcons, Raiders, Browns. Like, there's a lot of weird quarterbacks on their schedule coming up.
It's a tough week for the Broncos to play the Ravens, I think. Like, the Ravens coming off this loss, they're at home. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be tricky. Bo Nix has been actually playing pretty well, but again, like you said, they haven't really been playing anybody. And it's hard. The Broncos offense has like 0 difference makers. No. There is nobody that you feel like can create an explosive play or really anybody on the Broncos.
I swear to God, the most jittery guy in that offense is Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, I swear to God, like, that's the guy I watch where I'm like, oh my God.
It's just so crazy. I mean, the Broncos were like 12-point favorites against the Panthers last week, and now they're 10-point dogs against the Ravens, which is an indictment on the Panthers. But it's just crazy.
Ravens Panthers would have a college football line of like 20 points.
The only thing you can point to is that the Ravens, honestly, so I think, Heifetz, I think the Broncos are they're the good bad team because the good bad team is a bad team that beats all the other bad teams. They're the best of the bad teams.
They're the bad, yeah. Okay.
They're the best of the bad teams.
I was confused because they're 5-3, but I think you're right that they're the good bad team. That's exactly what the Broncos are because they're well coached and all this stuff, but they have no talent. See, DK gets confused. I'm confused too.
Ravens kind of played down to their opponent. I mean, they lost to the Raiders this year. They lost to the Browns. 9.5. So I might take the Broncos with the points.
I think I would too. Especially with Lamar having a knee. He's out. Hasn't practiced yet this week. Knee and back injuries. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he'll probably end up playing, but he may be a little bit limited.
I'm curious to see. I think Lamar will play. Watch this. We're recording this Halloween, but I'd be curious to see how the whole offense moves without him. Obviously, he's probably going to win the MVP if the season ended right now. Derrick Henry might go over 1,000 yards in this game by halftime. Like, he's at 946 yards and 9 touchdowns in 8 games. And I just want to shout out the people who've done that in the 21st century, who just hit 946 rushing yards halfway through the season. DeMarco Murray for the Cowboys, who won offensive player. People have forgotten
about in the annals of history. DeMarco Murray was sick.
And I forgot. He won Offensive Player of the Year that year. Jamal Lewis for the Ravens, 2003, another forgotten one. Ran for 2,000 yards that season. Won Offensive Player of the Year. Adrian Peterson, Rookie Year. Won Rookie of the Year.
These are all mid-aughts.
Yeah. And 2000 didn't win Offensive Player of the Year because Brady threw 50 touchdowns. Stephen Davis for the Panthers, totally forgot about that
2003.
Chris Johnson for the Titans, 2009, won Offensive Player of the Year. Sean Alexander, 2005, won the MVP of the NFL.
I mean, he had the 28 touchdowns.
28 touchdowns. Everybody who's done what Derrick Henry's done so far this season literally won Offensive Player of the Year or got hurt. So that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. Dolphins are at the Bills this week. Bills are giving 6.5 points. I don't think you can overstate how important this game is for the Dolphins. This feels, not counting playoffs, like the most important Dolphins game in a few years, which I know that sounds hyperbolic, but if you just look at all this stuff, first of all, the Dolphins are 2-5, so they blew the game to the Cardinals last week. So they're 2-5. They lose this game. They're 2-6. 2 teams have ever made the playoffs at 2-6. It's happened twice. If you win though, you're 3-5. A 3-5 team makes the playoffs every single year. That happens all the time. So it's a huge for the tilt to that. And it's against the Bills. And the last 13, I think I saw you had the stat too. I have it too.
I was like, I can't. I remember Carlos always talking about, oh God, we have to play the Bills. Oh God, like it's just like this dread that comes with it. And I was like, oh, maybe it's because they're 1-12 against the Bills going back to 2018. They've won 1 out of 13 matchups
Crazy.
over the last however many years, 7 years.
So your odds of making the playoffs go from like okay to almost impossible if you lose this game against the team you've beaten. You're 1-12 in the last 13, and
against a division opponent.
And if that wasn't enough emotions, this is the game that Tua got hurt last time, like in week 2. This is the Thursday Night Football game where he ran into DeMar Hamlin and he had the concussion. And also, before he got hurt, they were getting the shit kicked out of him by the Bills anyway when Tua was healthy. And then he's got to prove that he can stay healthy. Like the amount of emotions going on here for everyone involved, for Tua, for Mike McDaniel, proving you can beat the Bills, Tua proving you can stay healthy, fans having to watch the Bills kick the shit out of the Dolphins over and over again. Like there was a lot going on in this game.
Do you think, is this a Costanza? Picking the Dolphins straight up?
I feel like it's the other way around because I feel like every time the Dolphins play the Bills, our instinct is, well, Bills are favored, Dolphins could do it. And people like Carlos who watch the Dolphins every week are like, no fucking shit. Carlos is the one who's like, the Dolphins can't win.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I just feel like everything points to the Bills here, but we can come back to it later with the Costanzas. But
Craig,
I know.
Make a mark around this one.
I feel like Costanza is becoming like Apex Mountain, where we don't really know what it means because
we lost. No, we have
plot.
to keep it to the core of it, which is
I agree because I don't like that it's become like pick the biggest spread because that's not what it's about. It's about vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I say 1-12 is where I'm getting the vibes over the last 13.
It's a candidate for sure.
It's on the list. I don't think it's a Costanza because
on the other side of the ball, though, that's fine. I don't really care actually that much about making this the Costanza. I was going to point out a few things about the Bills that I find interesting. Number one, the Bills have, and this is with Josh Allen at quarterback, mind you, the Bills have 3 turnovers all season. That's the best in the NFL, or tied for the best. And interestingly enough,
that's like a remarkable stat with Josh Allen.
Like the Josh Allen team,
It's
I think give him his flowers.
Part of it is like, they are a much run heavier team, or have been during the first part of the season than they usually are. They're really relying on the ground game and defense and all that stuff, and just kind of playing a different style of football. But if you look at the last 2 weeks since they acquired Amari Cooper, they have been they've been tops in the NFL in pass rate over expectations. So they've been passing a ton the last couple of weeks. And part of that, I think, is, Khalil Shakur has really emerged as a really good role player. You have Keon Coleman coming on as a big play, like red zone threat. And then, of course, Amari Cooper is sort of like this really reliable, good route running number 1 receiver. And then you also have Kincaid, who's kind of, he's better as a role player. He's not a true number 1. I think he just fits into this like rotation as a really good role player over the middle of the field. And so all of a sudden the Bills, who I don't think like we kind of looked at them as like one of the worst receiving groups at the beginning of the season. Now they are looking pretty damn good. And so, I'm interested to see how this passing game goes going forward. Do they go back to like being really run heavy, or do they like just open it up in the pass game?
I think that's a really good call. I do want to just note 2 things. One, on the turnover note, Josh Allen did drop a football in the rain and kick it forward like we were joking about you do with your phone sometimes. And they recovered it.
That play, I was like, this is not the Seahawks.
Having said that, though, when Josh Allen was turning over the ball a lot, I love Steven Ruiz's analogy that it's like watching Marvel superheroes fight. It's like sometimes some buildings get broke and cars get thrown, and it's like it's collateral damage for the fucking awesomeness.
Yeah.
But the flip side is it's been a few years since Josh Allen was turning it over. Like it's been a long, like frankly, the Daniel Jones turnover proneness that Josh Allen. It's been a few years since he's been like Josh Allen's actually an incredible steward of the football now.
I really want him to win the MVP. It's time he's won one. He deserves one, and he does not get that type of recognition.
That sounds so cool, but then like when Aaron Judge wins the MVP and loses the World Series like the fucking Yankees did last night, it's so incredibly hollow that like, you know what I mean? Like when Lamar wins the MVP last year, do you really give a shit? Like they lost the
I
NFC
kind of do.
championship game.
I think the NFL MVP is, I just feel like it's a notch above the other sports MVP
I
awards.
agree.
I don't know.
think the NFL MVP really matters.
Yeah.
If Josh Allen doesn't have an MVP in his career, I think that's a big deal.
Like when I say Lamar is a 2-time MVP winner, I'm like, that is a really huge thing to say. Like Lamar, he has 2 MVPs already.
That stuff matters. We can't be putting dudes in the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning, who never had an All-Pro season.
Yeah, I know. It's just that motherfucker. All he did was win the Super Bowl twice.
He just had the Joe Flacco run twice.
He's never one of the best 2 quarterbacks in the league for his entire career, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Get the fuck out. He's absolutely a Hall of Famer. Are we going to do this right now?
I'm just saying he has 0 All-Pros.
Don't care. Don't give a shit.
He was never one of the best 2 quarterbacks in the league. I feel like that should be.
I'm not arguing he's like anyone else. He's a literally incomparable athlete.
Let's just not do it first ballot.
How about that?
I know.
The people who fucking gatekeep the first ballot shit are the most annoying people in the fucking world, where they're like, he's good, but I won't vote for him this time because he should go in this. Get the fuck out. Whoever the fuck didn't vote for Derek Jeter can go to hell.
New York coming out right here, baby.
Get the fuck out. And while I'm here, while I'm fucking doing the Eli Manning Hall of Fame shit,
riled up.
Obviously, the 2007, the Giants, the Patriots Super Bowl, the undefeated, the 18-0 Super Bowl that the Giants won, is on the list of the greatest upsets of all time. And you can tier that however you want, from like USA, Soviet Union, and like Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. You can pick Leicester City, Premier League. You can say all that you want. The thing I'll say about Eli Manning, almost none of those things ever happened again. Buster Douglas never fought Mike Tyson again. I don't know if, you know what I mean? And of all the rematches, no one ever fucking won again. The USA never beat the Soviet Union in hockey ever again. Leicester City is not in the Premier League. Eli Manning got the rematch, which never happens for the top tier upsets, and he fucking won again. And that's the only thing I'll say. It never gets discussed. It's the only time that's ever happened in sports fucking history that the upset happened. It was crazy, and then they did it again, and they won again. That's all. Sorry. You guys did it to me.
That's fair. We did do that. So I acknowledge that, and I accept it. You remember when Gino took over for Eli Manning when he got benched?
Yeah, that's kind of like
weird sliding doors moment there too for me.
The downside of the passion Giants fans have for Eli Manning in the Hall of Fame is it also fucked us over with Geno Smith, because they 100% benched. They 100% got rid of Geno Smith because everyone was mad about Eli Manning.
Oh,
damn! Wow. All right. Raiders Bengals. I feel like this game is the stoppable force versus the movable object, because the Bengals have like the worst run defense in the NFL outside of the Dallas Cowboys. And as Austin Gales tweeted, the Raiders have the worst rushing offense in the 21st century. Like literally just there's 800 teams since 2000. If you just look at total EPA and runs, the Raiders are like 800th out of 800 teams.
What makes them so bad? The obvious is they don't have a very good running back, but what else about it? The scheme, the offensive line, the quarterback.
I think it's the lack of like the defense doesn't have to worry about the passing game. They can load the box. I think there's like nothing threatening about the Raiders offense.
And I think it's when it's that bad, it's everything. It's the line is blocking poorly. They don't have any talented rushers. And frankly, I think it's Antonio Pierce, who again, on that Giants team, I was just ranting about. I love Antonio Pierce, but like, I think that he's actually more committed to establishing the run that's like historically bad than anything. So they're doing it a lot. That's why the total EPA is racking up. And then also it's just a bad plan. But it's everything about it's bad. So
I mentioned the Bills, who lead the NFL in turnovers with only 3. The Raiders have the league worst 17 turnovers.
The Bengals need to win this game by like 25.
Yeah.
Also, potentially no T. Higgins in this game. The Bengals are 0-3 without T. Higgins. He has been limited, or he has not practiced this week so far. So
yeah, T. Higgins. If Higgins can't go, it's Mike Gesicki time, baby. Mike Gesicki. He's like the really, really bad version of T. Higgins. No, he's not that bad. He made some pretty big plays last week, but he's like a weird, I don't know what the word is. Weird opposite version of T. Higgins.
I hate Mike Gesicki, and I don't even know why. I hate him.
Yeah, I don't know why either. He did.
I think it's because every time he joins a team, there's
hype around him.
Yeah, there's like a subtle fantasy narrative that like this is the offensive scheme that he's going to break out in, and then it never happens.
Mike Gesicki, he's really athletic, and I'm like, has he ever had 400 yards in a season? I don't think so.
I don't know. He made some nice plays last week. He's no T. Higgins though.
Oh yeah, what did he finish dead last?
Had a good day though.
Oh, he's had 400 yards in the season. I'm wrong. I was
just looking it up. Yeah,
he way more than that. But
I feel like he had 700 or something.
Yeah, he's at 700.
He has 3. He has 3 seasons to over 400 yards. He had 700 yards one year.
Doesn't matter.
Underrated player.
Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Bears are at the Cardinals this week. DK, how do you feel that the NFC West current leader at this moment in time is the Arizona Cardinals?
The NFC West is just an absolute, it's chaos right now. I simultaneously think all the teams in the NFC West are bad and good. I don't know how to do the good bad teams versus bad good teams. I still don't really understand that.
I think they're all bad good teams.
Right.
Yeah, they're all bad. Yeah, they're all bad good teams, right?
Yeah, they're all bad good teams.
The more I explain it, the less I understand it.
It actually makes like perfect sense in my brain. The bad good teams are teams that are good, but play down to their opponent.
The ironic part about the standings are right now, Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks are all 4-4.
They all have 4 losses. All 4 teams have 4 losses.
And then the Rams are 3-4. The Rams might be the best team. I mean, I think the 49ers are very clearly the best team, but like the Rams, I saw this stat. Well, we were going to talk about this during the Rams part when they played the Seahawks, but dude, the Rams offense, when they have Puka, Kupp, and Stafford all in the lineup, and this is a Nate Tice stat, they're basically like the best offense ever according to EPA per play. It is. Sorry,
like I need you to say that again.
I mean, not really, because it's like there's different splits and everything, but like just more or less, they're one of the best offenses ever in EPA per play when they have, again, Stafford, Puka, and Kupp in the lineup. And that's what they do now. They have those guys now. I'm actually kind of like afraid of the Rams. I think the Rams might be sneaky good.
I feel like the Rams and the Seahawks, and they're playing this week. I feel like the Rams and the Seahawks have like a crazy rivalry over the last like 15 years.
Yeah. The Rams have kind of dominated the Seahawks over the last like 10 years or whatever. It was mostly like during the Pete Carroll era. I think that's obviously a little different now, but the Rams have won 7 out of the last 10 times they've played each other. I don't know why, but like even going back to the early days of the Pete Carroll era, back in like the early 2010s, the Seahawks would lose to the Rams, and they were like terrible back then. They would like win like 3 or 4 games. The Seahawks would always like lose to the Rams. These two teams just hate each other. It's like in their DNA. So this is a huge game for both teams, obviously, because I mean, if the Seahawks lose this, I would say they probably have like very little chance of going to the playoffs. And if the Rams win, to me, they become like the favorite in the division, possibly. I know the 49ers, they're still really good, but yeah.
McVay has been so good this year. Once again, like one of the most underrated coaches that is going a little bit under discussed. What he's doing with this Rams team, with this messed up O-line without the receivers, like they're 3-4, they're in the mix. We always make the joke that he's the chopped chef who's like making bolognese out of Twizzlers and mayonnaise.
Making offense with Jordan Whittington and Colby Parkinson.
Yeah, they do the same thing with their defense too.
Tutu Atwell's like their vet. You know what I mean? And DeMarcus Robinson. Their O-line has been so beat up, and it's actually held up recently. You know that last week they beat the Vikings. They were the first team to not give up a sack against the Vikings this year. This Rams offensive line. And it's because they're getting the ball out quick. Like, I just think McVay and Stafford are like the 2 guys on a pickup team who it doesn't really matter who else is on the team. Like, they can just run the offense through the 2 of them. And they've been getting the ball out quicker. They've been like mitigating this bad offensive line. It's been really fun to see. Each of the past 4 opponents has failed to generate pressure at an above average league rate versus the Rams, which is something I got from Jacob Gibbs. And it's incredible with how bad their line is, how successful they've been at keeping Stafford upright and getting the ball out quick. I just think McVay constantly, I feel like he has to reinvent himself and reinvent the team more than any other coach in the league.
I think, did McVay just get the most wins in Rams history as a coach?
Oh, I don't know. Is that right?
He either just did it, or like the next win will be, I think, the most Rams wins ever for a Rams coach. The motherfucker's like 38 years old. I don't know if they've ever even had another coach they hired before 40 years old. You know what I mean? Like, dude, he's like, it's funny that we've talked about for all the stuff with McVay retiring, and if he burns out. Can you imagine if he doesn't stop coaching?
I know he's going to break every record ever. It's honestly
he's going to break
like
everything.
It's like what everybody said about Stafford on the Lions, and they were like, "Man, this guy's going to shatter just because of the way the new like NFL offenses are run." It was like Stafford's going to break every record. Maybe Stafford and McVay just should keep playing forever together, and they'll break every record.
Dude, I want to shout out their defense. Their defense on the whole is probably not like one of the best in the NFL. It's not that great, but like their pressure rate this year is second highest to the Vikings. And that's after they lost Aaron Donald. Like, Aaron Donald retired, and now they have the second best pressure rate. They have 2 really good rookie defenders.
Yeah, Jared Verse. It's funny, for a team that never has draft picks, they can fucking draft.
Dude, they always find ways to plug in like these, you know, and their 2 top picks are it's Verse and Fisk or whatever. Braden Fisk, I believe his name is. I'm totally blanking on it, but
Braden Fisk.
And then they always find guys in the middle rounds that they can just like plug into whatever spot and just like get production out of them, put them in the right place. They're such a well-coached team. And I don't know, man. I have like this like deep-seated fear of the Rams as a Seahawks fan. I'm just like always like, oh God, I hate the Rams. They're just always so good. They're always so tough and physical and just hard to beat.
And for all the Rams' reputation of fuck them picks, and they have a reputation because Les Snead, the GM, wore a shirt that said fuck them picks as a meme to the Super Bowl parade. But they actually did stack a lot of 4th, 5th, 6th round picks. Other teams wanted to get away. And so their strategy was, we're going to basically, I feel like what really happened was Les Snead was the Rams GM when they made the RG3 trade. And they traded away the RG3 pick for like 10 picks. And all they got was Aaron Donald with the pick they had anyway, and basically fucking nothing with the other like 9 players they got. Like they got a few seasons of Janoris Jenkins, and I think they got like Michael Brockers, and that was it. And I think that really like shake Les Snead's worldview of this is a goddamn crapshoot. I'd rather trade a 1st or 2 for like someone I know is good, like a Jalen Ramsey or someone. They kept doing that over and over, but we're going to stack the 4th, 5th, 6th rounders because it's a crapshoot. Let me get the guys later. And that is how they keep doing it over and over again. So
the Rams,
it's been amazing to watch them retool.
They remind me of like that guy in your dynasty league who just trades all their early picks for superstars, people trying to like rebuild. And then they build like this incredible lineup. and it's just like, they don't really care about 5 years down the future. They just like want to win now, but they also, make hay with their 4th and 5th rounders or whatever.
But they never decay. That's the thing, though.
Right.
You keep like, oh, well, they'll be worse one day. And then you're like, fuck, they're not worse yet. What the hell?
But we might be dead next year. Who knows?
I know the spread is only, so the Seahawks are home and they're getting 1.5 points. Is that still right? Yeah, they're getting 1.5 points at home. I think this qualifies as a Costanza because I think everybody is so excited about the Rams. Puka and cut back. And meanwhile, the Seahawks have been crapping the bed. What are they like? They've won one of their last 3-4 games. Metcalf is hurt. I know spread-wise, this doesn't make sense for a Costanza, but I think vibes-wise, I think everyone's going to be on the Rams.
That actually is a good take, especially if Metcalf misses the game again.
Yeah.
And it's Cooper and Puka against Metcalf. I actually think that's a great call. And then also, Wild NFC West. I know I mentioned Bears Cardinals earlier. Cardinals are winning the division. I just want to shout out Bill Barnwell, who at ESPN, who, if you go by this I can't speak English, strength of schedule for the ESPN Football Power Index, Bears have played the league's easiest schedule so far. From this week forward, they play the hardest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah,
the Bears.
I don't know how I feel about the Bears. I still think they're like a big. I need to see it for a while team. I think
right.
They've had a lot of easy matchups, and none of their offensive performances have really been that impressive to me. And their defense has been playing well. But like, what do you like about what's going on with the Bears right now? Like, I don't like what Shane Waldron's doing. I don't really think Eberflus has been super inspiring. Caleb has been really hit or miss.
Yeah. I think Eberflus, the defense is fine, but like, I don't know if it's good enough to justify all the other decisions being made. I think Shane Waldron's been a bad offensive coordinator, but also a lot of things are bad. Like they need a better interior offensive line. There's a lot missing with Chicago. I think we need to see how they come out this week. And like, I don't know. I don't want to get too armchair psychology here, but if you look at, I think the most interesting part of Cardinals Bears is frankly, it's Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, these 2 number 1 picks who both played for Lincoln Riley. And I'm like, I don't want to be like too much of a dick, but I think the biggest question with both of them is like how they handle adversity. Kyler Murray, for his own reasons, I mean, he's the best high school football player ever, maybe in the state of Texas. Kyler Murray didn't lose a game till he was like 20, a football game in his life till he was like 20 years old. And you know what I mean? He like won a Heisman. He's a 9th pick in the MLB draft, 1st pick in the NFL draft. So like there's been a whole thing with him. Body language is, he's almost like a football genius who's like struggles to work with other people sometimes. And then you have Caleb who lost more and more games in college. But like, I think it's really important to see the Bears come out after like a crushing loss. Like it would be nice to see them handle like very public, embarrassing defeat really well this week.
Yeah. I think how they bounce back is going to be really just important and fascinating to watch because like, this is still a team that's, they're just trying to build on both sides of the ball right now. They're they're young and there's not a lot of like proven established leadership on either side of the ball, I feel like. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how they bounce back. How does Tyreek Stevenson bounce back? Because like we said, that was like just an insanely embarrassing play.
How you respond to stuff like that is like a defining thing in your career. Like it just that's how it becomes.
Very mature tweet though. I like that. He handled it like a man.
Yeah, he did. Big week for defensive backs apologizing between Trevon Diggs with sending the guy the D's nuts and Tyreek Stevenson sending the tweet.
Yeah,
huge.
Banana pudding nuts. Get ready, Kai.
Poor Kai.
Oh my God! All right, Chargers Browns. I mean, I mean, outside of just like the biggest personalities in the NFL, maybe between Jim Harbaugh and Jameis Winston, I don't know. DK, what do you make of this game?
I mean, obviously, like the big question mark here for the Browns is the sliding doors moment of them deciding to stick with Deshaun Watson for so long. Basically, what we've talked about before, where they just weren't really trying to win. They were more just trying to validate their ridiculous contract they gave him. And where would they be if they had just played the best player, played the best quarterback for the entire season? It's too late now, I guess, to find out. But yeah, I'm just excited to watch this Browns offense for the first time in a really long time, it feels like. And, there's some young, exciting players. I'm really excited to watch Cedric Tillman. I want to see if this is just a flash in the pan or if he's like the real deal. You know what I mean? Because he's looked awesome the last 2 weeks. I think Elijah Moore is kind of making a career comeback, hopefully, because we've always believed in him, I think, in his talent, but he's just always been in kind of like shitty situations. And so there's a lot to watch with the Browns. And obviously, like Nick Chubb getting back to full health slowly but surely will be fun. On the other side of the ball, though, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Herbert is starting to wake up. It's like, it feels like we're waking a sleeping giant here. The Chargers over the last the last 3 weeks are first in early down pass frequency, which they were like almost dead last the first like month of the season. And so I don't know what it was, like the offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, finally figuring out that he has like a really awesome quarterback, but they're passing at a much higher rate and their offense just looks so much better. Ladd McConkey starting to emerge as a potential star.
I knew a pass catcher was going to work in this offense. That's what I was trying to say. That was my point, is that there is a Greg Roman wide receiver that usually works. So I was right, really.
Right. People are just like throwing stuff at the TV.
Yes, right. Everybody was like, they're not going to throw, no receivers. And I was like, one of them's going to hit.
I just want to see
that continue.
If they're throwing that much in early downs, the irony of Craig saying like joking about being right is that like I basically was like, this exact thing would never happen. Where it was like, they'll never throw that much. And like, I didn't know being first in early down pass frequency is even 3 weeks in a row for the Chargers is fucking crazy. And that is very eye opening.
I do think a portion of that is because they haven't been like the first 4 weeks of the season, J.K. Dobbins was kind of exploding. They haven't really been able to run the ball that well the last 3 weeks. So I think that is a little bit of it. It's like slightly concerning. I think
they had injuries. They had injuries in the Chargers line. Yeah.
I think I kind of don't think I trust either of these teams, and they both kind of have good vibes. Like I think that the idea behind both these teams is that like they're headed in the right direction. I don't know. The Chargers have 4 wins. They've beaten the Raiders, Panthers, Broncos, and Saints.
Yeah, this isn't a Costanza, but I do want to fantasy fade Costanza all the Browns as an offense because everyone's like, oh, the Browns beat the Ravens, cool. And I'm like, remember all the interceptions they dropped? Do you think the Chargers aren't watching that? And like, I'm like, because if the Chargers defense is available in fantasy or like just looking at the Browns schedule, I will. I think I forget. Sorry, I'll pull it up. The next like 4 teams the Browns play, and I'm like the Jameis Winston pick 6 opportunity is insane for all these defenses. And if you're just trying to stream defenses, the Browns play the Chargers this week. Then they go on by Saints, Steelers, Broncos, Steelers, Chiefs. Like that's some like Jameis Winston can flip a whole fantasy season just by having the defenses that are playing against Jameis Winston. I just want to throw that out there. There's a lot of pick sixes coming.
I wonder how like the narrative would be different if Kyle Hamilton just caught that interception.
Dude, we'd be like, oh yeah, but Jameis sucks.
Jameis.
That's why they weren't playing him. Like it's so narrative. Like, yeah.
I mean, he could torpedo your team at any moment. Jameis is like shaky Mexican food. It like tastes good going in, but you have no idea what it's going to do going out.
Don't have any big plans tomorrow. All right. Don't go on a hike. Don't have any planned hikes or anything.
Yeah.
Be near a bathroom.
I think I would just take whichever team is getting points in this game, which is the Browns at home.
I'll take Harbaugh. Jameis Winston every day of the week. Harbaugh and Herbert, I'm taking over Jameis Winston.
Wouldn't you have said the same thing about Harbaugh and Lamar last week?
Yeah. And they fucking they were like the Yankees in the 5th inning. They dropped like 3 fucking game-ending interceptions.
They should have won.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The Chargers.
It wasn't some process-based loss. That was Kyle Hamilton dropped the pick, and then Rashad Bateman dropped the ball.
Like 3 times.
I think the point is that it was a neck-and-neck game in the final minute, which was surprising. It was like a 9-point spread. The Chargers have beaten the Raiders, Panthers, Broncos, and Saints, and they've lost to the Steelers and Cardinals.
The Chargers, as usual, are a very weird team.
Put up 15 points against the Cardinals and lost.
I'm still taking them. Next game here, Commanders are at the Giants. I don't even have the heart to talk about this, guys. I'm not going to lie. I don't have the heart. If you guys want to, sure. All I want to just note is I just want to remind the world that Daniel Jones sucks and Jaden Daniels rules. And if the Giants had not beaten Washington twice last year,
I wish we could cut back to you being excited about Tommy DeVito a year ago.
I was clear-eyed about the whole thing.
DK and I tried to tell you this is bad.
I'm not in control of whether they win the game. I can enjoy it or not. You want me to fucking actively root against them while it's happening?
Yes.
You want me to be bad? You ever try doing it? It's hard. This is addiction. It's
hard.
A disease. It's hard. Fandom is a disease.
No.
You can't
Craig's
just
like, give
control
up
it.
fandom cold turkey.
No, it's not give up fandom. It's play the long game. Have some mental fortitude, all right?
Root for the right thing.
I agree. I wish they would have lost. And then I'm sitting there and this freaking Tommy DeVito drove 9 minutes from his parents' house to beat the Green Bay Packers. And I'm like,
cares?
You know what? Oh my God.
That storyline never really, I never got to me.
You're not
never pulled on the old heartstrings.
That was such like an insulated New York
Who gives a shit?
story where it was like, who cares? This guy lives with his mom and his name's Tommy DeVito. Who cares?
Dude.
You guys are ruining your franchise. Tommy DeVito ruined the next decade potentially of the Giants.
Tommy DeVito did ruin.
He's the Steve Bartman. He's the Steve Bartman of the Giants, or whatever. Is that his name?
Steve Bartman. But even then, it was like all the other mistakes led to that. But like, yeah, Tommy DeVito, Steve Bartman. If you just look at again the top 5 picks of this year's draft, the Giants had the 6th pick. They beat the Cardinals, who had the 4th pick, got Marvin Harrison Jr. They beat the Patriots, who got the 3rd pick and got Drake May, and they beat Washington, who had the 2nd pick twice. 4 wins against the top 5 picks. The Giants would have just had the 2nd pick in the draft. Tommy DeVito.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get Quinn Ewers now, so that'll be fun.
See, there you go. Heifetz wanted Jaden Daniels, but didn't have Jaden Daniels' money. Fucking Carson Beckett will be then.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Next game, I literally think is a full skip. We should not talk about it for 1 second.
Patriots at Titans.
Yep. Next game.
Oh, wait. Can I talk about it for 1 second?
Next game.
Okay, I'm good.
Craig's got, Heifetz has like a cat hairball there.
All right. Patriots Titans disgusting. That was me driving. Got it. Just announcing that in case I assume Carlos cut it because that noise was disgusting. Jaguars are at the Eagles. I got like this is like the most Ghost of Christmas Past I've ever seen. Like this is Nick Sirianni versus Doug Peterson coaching. Like this is, I don't know. I find this hilarious.
Will Peterson get cheered?
That's a great question. They fucking better cheer him. If Tom Coughlin came back to the Giants, like this guy won you a Super Bowl like 4 years ago.
This game screams Costanza Jags to me.
There's a statue of Doug Peterson outside the stadium.
Yeah.
They made a statue of Peterson?
It's a statue of Nick Foles and Doug Peterson. Bud Light paid for it. And it's Nick Foles turning Doug Peterson.
Paid for it? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because Bud Light paid for it. Is
this a good statue? Do they look like human beings?
I need to check it.
It does. It looks just like Dwayne Wade, actually. And no, it looks like them, but it's because they didn't call it Philly Special. They called it Philly Philly, which was a Dilly Dilly joke about Bud Light. So the statue is Bud Light paid for it, and it just says, "Do you want Dilly Dilly? Or do you want Philly Philly?"
Kind of lame.
And that's
This is like not even. This is a stupid statue. It's just them talking to each other. They're not doing anything.
It was free, dude.
Is this the first statue ever of a guy holding a piece of paper?
We're gonna need to pay for something for them to be doing something. You don't get you don't get free action anywhere.
Also, it looks
They're
like
just talking
Foles
to
is just
each
like
other.
pulling up his sleeve. Like this is such a weird position.
What a weird moment to decide to use.
Yeah.
Philly
this
fans
doesn't
are
look
probably
that much
upset
like Doug
because
Peterson either. Now that I look at it,
It looks fine. I mean, it looks better than the Dwayne Wade one.
Well, it's hard to look worse.
This feels like a screaming Jags Costanza, right? The Eagles' big game against the shitty Bengals defense. The Eagles look great. Sirianni comeback train's rolling.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the Jags have basically been. What's really important is if Brian Thomas plays in this game. Brian Thomas may or may not be playing in this game with a chest contusion, the rookie for the Jags. If he's playing, I think the Jags are a phenomenal Costanza play. Or maybe that's not how Costanza works. And if he's not playing, then you should bet the Jags as a Costanza.
I think
play.
that's how it has to work. Is when like the best player is out, then it suddenly becomes a Costanza.
The Jags are like the sharp bettors' favorite team this year, and it's like hasn't really worked out. But every year, the betting syndicates are backing Jacksonville because they think they're misrepresented in the markets. Like they technically covered last week against the Packers. Yeah, they just stink every week. Did you guys see the golf thing with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles?
Yeah,
oh yeah, they played
that.
Obama, Saquon, Hurts, and the owner Jeff Lurie played golf. But then Jalen Hurts wasn't allowed to play golf because he contractually can't play golf.
There's something so funny about golf and athletes. Like I feel like golf ruins your athletic ability. If you play any other sport, you can't play golf because baseball players like aren't allowed to play golf. So, like Heifetz, you're joking that like Sauce Gardner like ruined his season because he got too focused on golf.
All he thinks about is golf now.
Yeah, he's just thinking about golf.
For a game that is so calm and you kind of play alone and there's zero contact, it is crazy how much like real estate it has in like other sports franchises' minds. You know what I mean?
Golf is the mind killer.
Golf
really
is the mind killer.
Like you can't. Why can't Jalen Hurts play fucking golf?
I think it's not that they're afraid Jalen Hurts will get hurt. It's that they're afraid that Jalen Hurts will start
He'll fall
thinking
in love?
about other than football. Yeah, it's like he'll actually be like, "Damn, my job sucks. I love golf."
That's crazy.
Is it just golf, or is he allowed to go snowboarding and stuff?
Oh, he's definitely no. I don't think any quarterback is allowed to go snowboarding
like
after Andrew
skateboarding.
Luck. No, Andrew Luck ruined that. Andrew Luck ruined recreational activity for an entire generation of athletes.
Wait, how did he got hurt snowboarding? Right?
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder snowboarding.
That's hilarious.
And then,
I get it if you're like a baseball player. I know the swing mechanics, golf and baseball can get messy. I do not understand why a quarterback can't play fucking golf.
I think it's just like, you know why?
Brady used to play golf all the time, didn't he?
I don't think it's about whether he gets hurt.
Aaron Rodgers plays golf. Romo loved golf. Like, tons of guys play golf.
Guess what? Did Romo ever win a fucking Super Bowl? No, he's playing too much goddamn golf.
Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. What are you talking about?
Well, no, okay, fine, but they picked it up later. Romo was a scratch golfer while he was a quarterback.
Steph Curry's a scratch golfer.
True.
He's done all right.
All right, but you can get away with that because he's good and he won. I'm just saying, I get it.
Hold on, one of our coworkers, I won't name him right now unless you think I should, but he brought this up that Hurts had it put into his contract just so he can tell people it's in his contract. He's like giving up golf.
It's like an excuse. It's like a doctor's note. You're like, I'm not allowed to play golf, so
I'm
so
have to do it. Dedicated to football. I love football so much that I'm.
He's just
like he never played.
Yeah, he doesn't want to play golf.
Giving up golf.
It's just a good look.
So he just pretended like he was giving it up. It's actually really funny.
Yeah, contract says I had to give up long distance swimming, so got to give it up.
Dude, you know what? I really wanted to love. I was a huge marathon runner, and then when I joined the Ringer, I actually, Bill Simmons put it.
They want you to focus.
I can't run marathons. That's why I don't run long distance.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a successful novelist, and they made me give that up when I got hired at the Ringer. I can't write books anymore. Which
novelist.
That's my passion.
What are your novels about, Craig?
Oh my god.
Usually like sleeper wide receivers on the Chargers and their story, how they got there.
The background, yeah. The romance.
All right, next up, Sunday Night Football, and what a game to be on Sunday Night Football. The Colts are at the Vikings. Vikings are giving 5. This is the Anthony Richardson's been benched bowl, which, they're going
to show him on the sideline 150 times during the game.
He might break the record for like the over-under of a...
Let's keep track.
We should keep track. What is the line? Craig, you're good at this. What is the line for over-under sideline shots of Anthony Richardson? I think it has to be 4.5.
Yeah, I think there's at least 1 a quarter.
4.5?
Right? 1 a quarter.
Oh, I think it's more like 10.5.
No.
10.5.
They're going to show him on the sideline the whole game.
No way. 10.5. 10.5's a lot. They showed Taylor Swift twice.
I think it's going to be over 10.
This is the way that these storylines typically unfold. Joe Flacco is going to get hurt in the third quarter, and Anthony Richardson's
right. Yeah, no, that's
is he going to be the third emergency quarterback, or is he going to be the backup?
He'll be the.
Oh, good question.
He'll be the backup,
right?
There's a weird trend this year of like randomly quarterbacks not always being playing, but I will say this whole Richardson situation seems like it's gotten worse since we talked about it on Tuesday night. Because then they asked Anthony Richardson, "Did head coach Shane Steichen explain to you why you were benched?" And he basically was like, "Not really." And it was just like a weird answer, and maybe it was taken out of context. And then Shane Steichen was asked, will Richardson start again? He said, I can't predict that. I'm not losing faith in that. I promise you that. I can't predict the future, but I mean, that would be great. We'll see.
That would be great.
And then he was asked, does the team, like, that would be great.
Sure.
Sure. And then he was asked, like, what does the team think of this? He said, I can't speak for the team, which I know what he meant, which was I can't speak for the players. But it came out wrong because it's literally his job to speak for the team. So just like everything about this was it's just been the clunkiest rollout ever.
Do we feel, Heifetz, do you feel differently about this today than you did, yesterday or Tuesday?
I think it was much more, I think that it seems more Jim Irsay inspired than Steichen inspired. And I think that like, I actually thought Steichen had more agency on Tuesday in this than I did earlier. I still think it's kind of like to teach Anthony Richardson a fucking lesson, and they're kind of like putting the screws in, if anything.
I think we talked about this, like, is this a slap on the wrist because he took himself out and like the team is basically like not cool with that. And a shot across his bow, essentially like, hey, yo, figure it out. But after the last couple of days of hearing everything that's going around, this sounds like a much more permanent or semi-permanent situation until he like really wins the job back somehow. So it's not going to be just like a 1 week slap on the wrist.
Yeah, it's still not Bryce Young, but I agree that it might just be like 3 weeks for, like, it might be until Joe Flacco sucks. And to be clear, it's not like Joe Flacco's awesome. Like, I think that Joe Flacco can do he can check the most basic boxes of running an offense. I don't know if that's going to be enough against the Vikings and Brian Flores and this defense, but he also takes a lot of the cool shit off the table with the Colts. And frankly, I don't know. It's if the receivers have made more catches, like, I don't know if Richardson gets benched, but also I still think it is like the comment Richardson made was the straw that broke the camel's back of like, But Brian Flores of all people was like, did you guys watch the plays? Brian Flores was like, the 3 runs he had before were like outrageous, but also I think Brian Flores really wanted Richardson to play.
I know, he's just being political or whatever. I feel like, again, like I come back to it. It's essentially taboo to take yourself out if you're a quarterback because you're tired.
There's a reason it never happens.
It's like never happens.
Do you guys think that the narrative of like the Colts are failing Anthony Richardson is more prominent with Richardson than in other cases in the past? Because I think Richardson's pretty unique in that most of the quote unquote like film bros really loved Richardson. Like, I feel like there was a lot of diehard draft people in media on Richardson. And like, there's almost like this, like, I refuse to admit he's not good. And now that he's gotten benched, it's almost like a way that you don't have to admit defeat, right? You can be like, oh, well, the Colts just...
They're failing him.
The Colts ruined him. But he was going to be good.
Are people saying the Colts ruined him? I guess, I don't know. I think
they're failing him by benching him.
Oh, no. I think that's... I think failing him by benching him, I think is... I think that's nuts.
I think that's what the narrative has been online. I think a lot of people are saying the Colts are failing him by benching him.
I feel like your algorithm caught up to my algorithm because that's what I was trying to like say on Tuesday when I got all fired up. But I think big picture, to your point though about Josh Allen and take lock and all this stuff. Sorry, not Josh Allen, Richardson. But my point is Richardson was compared to Josh Allen. And I think that the way we remembered is Josh Allen was coming out of the draft and he was bad and we thought he might be bad and then he was good. What actually happened was Josh Allen came out of the draft and we said Josh Allen will suck. Then Josh Allen absolutely fucking sucked for 2 years and everyone victory lapped the whole time. Then Josh Allen was an MVP candidate from his 3rd season, every single season from 2020, every single since Josh Allen's been an MVP candidate. And Richardson, this is his rookie year because he played 4 games last year. Really played like 12 quarters last year. And so 11. And so,
but also people didn't think he was going to suck.
No, but like he was known that but I think the Josh Allen comp was he's raw. He's actually probably a little ahead of where Josh Allen was. But DK, you're the draft expert. But my read on the Anthony Richardson thing was he's going to need 2 years and the first year got burned. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not realistic like he played 11 quarters his rookie year. Like, it's not realistic.
No, I know that, but isn't that what everybody online is saying? Like, hey, and I'm saying this too, like, give him more time. Why are we benching him now? If this is a temporary thing, I support it. But if this is a permanent thing, I don't.
I want to hear what DK says, but I think that the thing to remember, my friend taught me about watching Survivor, and it's like when people hate someone, you're like, why do they hate that guy? They're like, dude, they spend 24 hours a day with this person. You're watching an hour a week. There's so much. And I think that's the thing. There's so much we don't know about the situation that you kind of got to trust what they're doing.
I know. I think that's like the thing that
trust the team that hired Jeff Saturday. Trust Jim.
Not that guy.
I don't think anyone has to trust anyone. I think if you're reading between the lines about everything that's happening, this does feel like a straw that broke the camel's back situation, and you can take that however you want. Maybe he's not doing the things that he's supposed to be doing, or acting the way that he's supposed to be acting, or being the type of leader that he's supposed to be being. Whatever it is, whatever the case may be, I don't have like an inside source with the team. But like, if you're reading between the lines with a lot of the stuff that the players, the coaches, and what some people in the media have been saying, it's like basically, look, the team is, I think like there's a thought that he's not doing the types of things he's supposed to be doing. And this is like a warning shot. Like, dude, this isn't just given to you. Like, you have to earn it. And so
I agree with that.
And again, I don't have like sources with the team on this. I'm just speculating based on everything that we're seeing and kind of like it's everything that's like been, coming out of the team the last few days. It feels like this is more of like the little tiny tip of the iceberg at the top, and then everything underneath is basically like what's been happening over the last like year plus. So again, I think we'll find out more over the next few weeks and longer. I don't think they're giving up on him totally. But it was like, it's a combination of they still think they can win. They're 4-4. They're 4-4, right? They're still in like the hunt and they think they can win. And also he's just maybe not doing the things they want to do. And this was just kind of like the last straw for them.
On that note, Monday Night Football's Buccaneers are at the Chiefs, and I want to this is a Super Bowl rematch, but like not really, because there's no Brady, no Evans, no Godwin. I mean, really what this is a rematch of the Baker Mayfield, the Texas Tech, Oklahoma, shout out Robert Mays, who read a whole article about this game, but Texas Tech and Oklahoma played a game that had 125 total points, and separately, each offense gained exactly 854 total yards.
Wow.
Which is something we call foreshadowing. But yeah, so that was a Mahomes Baker Mayfield. So when you turn that game up, Oklahoma won 66-59. But yeah, that's you'll see highlights of that, I'm sure, when on Monday Night Football this week. But yeah,
not gonna be that kind of game. I feel like this week,
not that kind of game anymore. No, simpler times.
I feel like the Buccaneers are probably going to run a lot. The Chiefs are going to do their ball control, defense, take care of the football, blah blah blah, like that whole new identity that they have. And this is probably going to be more of a slog type of game. What do you guys think?
I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think the Chiefs defense is awesome. I mean, there's my groundbreaking analysis. The Chiefs are going to beat the Bucs.
Yeah, the Bucs were able to sustain their offense last week because they played Atlanta, and I think they were able to use some of their receivers a little bit and get things moving. I don't think both teams are going to combine for 854 yards this week.
No pass rush.
Yeah.
I'll say this. So we have to do Costanza. Can I throw out a real Costanza?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can.
Giants beating the Commanders. Like they had that crazy Hail Mary, the play, everyone in the world saw
I think
it.
that is. Yeah,
and it's just like everyone's, if you weren't in on Washington before, you're in on Washington now.
My first reaction is to scoff. So I think that feels like a good Costanza.
It's the Giants.
If you told someone I bet on the Giants to beat Washington, someone's
no
going
one
to
has confidence in the Giants. Yeah. Name a person who has confidence in the Giants.
Yeah. All right. Giants are the Costanza of the week. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Kai and Carlos, for producing this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Email us on Sundays. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Ringer Fantasy Football. And if you didn't find out, we interviewed Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman of the United States. You can listen to that on Wednesday. And yeah, everyone have a happy Halloween.
Thank you to MetLife Stadium.
Thank you to MetLife Stadium. Of course, MetLife Stadium. Of course, MetLife Stadium. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Sean Paul.
Hell yeah. Temperature?
Oh,
all-time banger. In college,
all-time banger.
In college, I don't know how this started, but my friends and I started this bit that we figured out that you could convince anyone that a celebrity died if they were kind of in this like middle ground of fame, where if it was like Leo DiCaprio, you'd be like, there's no way Leo died.
I would have heard.
Right. Sean Paul, we were like, who is the perfect person that you could say this celebrity died? And then they'd go, oh, really? I could see me not knowing that, and like that could have happened. So we just started telling everybody for years at college. We spread that Sean Paul had died in a boating accident where he jumped off of a boat and hit his head on the side of the boat. Sean Paul, I believe, is very much alive right now. But we convinced literally dozens and dozens of people. We'd be like, "Did you hear Sean Paul died?" And they're like, "No way." Dude. We're like, "Yeah, he fell off a boat." And they're like, "Really, man? Sean Paul was great." And you're like, "Yeah." And then they go, "Okay, well, see you later."
Oh my God. That's terrible, but also funny.
It's funny, you got there's that perfect middle ground of fame where you could convince they know who the name is and they could be easily convinced that they died and didn't hear about it.
So it's funny.
I don't know what to say to that.
It's funny. It's funny.
Sean Kingston. I had this moment where someone said to me, I was like, whatever happened to Sean Kingston? Someone's like, and so it turns around and just says, Sean Kingston was in a boating accident and hit a bridge and he tore his aorta. And and that was and he's okay now. He's alive. But he
tore his aorta and he didn't die?
No, but he tore his aorta, which is crazy.
Are you making this up?
No, Google it. That's what's funny about your story is that like the level of fame where people will accept it, but then no one follows up.
Exactly. No one's going to be like, well, I'm not going to Google it. I'm sure it's real.
They just Googled Sean Kingston aorta.
What kind of psychopath would lie about that? You just take it, take him at the word, move on.
Dude, Sean Kingston is only 34 years old. That seems impossible.
It's like the Jason Tatum of singers.
Oh my God. He's the Sam Darnold of singers.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Sam Darnold is younger than Anthony Richardson.
Did you see? Who was the quarterback this week who said, I can't wait? Bo Nix said, I can't believe I'm playing against, because the Broncos playing the Ravens. Bo Nix said, I can't believe I'm playing against the guys I watched growing up. And someone quote tweeted it and was like, bitch, you're like 3 years younger than Lamar Jackson.
Oh, that's funny. You watched them because you were playing in their league.
Wait, actually, though, like, who was he talking about?
He was talking about Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson's been in the NFL since 28, since Bo Nix was a freshman in college. Bo Nix went through 6 years of college. Lamar Jackson won 2 MVPs, and they're like 3 years apart.
What's the age cutoff for qualifying for quote unquote growing up? Like, if I said I was watching so-and-so when I was growing up, if I'm 16.
Pre-high school.
Some people are still growing up.
I think.
No, I think high school counts because when Anthony Richardson's at the combine and he's like, I call myself Cam Jackson because I'm like Cam Newton Lamar. Like he's watching Lamar in high school. Like I think that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's not when I was growing up.
Some people are always growing up.
I don't know. I guess. What do you like? When you put it this way, that's where I grew up. You say a town or whatever, like whatever town you grew up in.
I do feel like it's adolescence, right?
You're right that it's either entering high school or leaving high school. It's got to be one or the other.
I feel like if you've hit your maximum height, you are no longer growing up.
Wow. Well, yeah.
And you hit your maximum height often in high school.
Shit. So
I hit my maximum height in 8th grade.
Right. I didn't until my senior year.
I was
of high
like
school,
freakishly tall, and then I just stayed the same height forever.
That's really.
I was freakishly small, and then I sprouted.
That is like the weirdest part of growing up. That just the hope that you'll get taller.
I've actually never until right now like thought about the phrase growing up.
Growing up. You're literally growing up. Yeah. And then one day you stop.
My nephew, it was the funniest thing. He thought that this is like puts you into the mind of like a child. Like they don't quite have the context of everything. He thought
They're
just
so
kept,
dumb. Kids are so dumb. You know?
He just thought you kept growing forever.
Well, look,
like you never stop growing.
Your ears technically kind of true. There are things.
What do you
mean?
You
do gain a pound a year on average or something? I heard that one time.
Your ears never stop growing. That's why old people.
Is that right?
What the
fuck?
That's why
old people have giant ears.
Wow. That's not that. No, this is a fucking no. DK, this is a Sean Kingston thing. This is Sean.
You guys
Paul.
are no.
I've heard this before.
Look at like Tommy Lee Jones or Harrison Ford. These guys have massive droopy ears.
Says the guy who just said, I told dozens and dozens of people Sean Paul was dead for fun.
Honestly, though,
WebMD says your nose and your ears indeed change as you get older, but it isn't that they're growing. Instead, what you're seeing are the effects of skin changes and gravity. They're just sagging.
Yeah, they're sagging.
They're stretching out because of gravity.
I thought ears always kept growing.
I don't think so.
So yeah, it's just they get bigger, but not because they're growing.
I wonder how big Sean Paul's ears are now.
Well, he's no longer with us.
Sean Paul?
Yes.
Heifetz.
Fuck.
He just explained to you. Oh, that was good.
Goodbye, everyone.